most of TED talks are really around you come and share your experience about something, and something you thought about, an idea that you think can really change the world. And I said, when somebody at my office said that, would you like to give one? I said, why not? And I said, it's on a theme. I said, what? It won't be my idea. He said, no, it's about a theme. I said, what theme? I said, the unlearning. I said, oh, easy. Don't worry about it. And then, for the last 2-3 years, I've been thinking on what to say. And I cannot think of anything on unlearning. कोई तो framework होगा जो मैं सोच लूँ by which I can do unlearning, by some checkpoints. And I couldn't. Except that at the very last moment, an idea really clicked into my mind. And it's like a fog disappears. Not the smog of Lahore, but the fog disappears. So this talk, I'll try to leave you with a very basic idea. This talk is more about my journey of discovering that idea, and see if you can discover it with me on how you can unlearn. So, the art of unlearning.
Yeah.
To start on the art of unlearning, I think it's another important thing, or probably funny thing, to give you my intro, which is I'm Umair, you already know. And I am by education an engineer. And by roles, I've done various roles in my life. So I'm personal roles like father, son, sibling, to more professional roles like I remain teacher, I'm a founder, an entrepreneur, a CEO, a team member, and many others. But the role that I always liked the most in my life was being a student, a learner. So here you are, being presented with someone who is an engineer and who likes to learn, giving you a talk on art and unlearning. So bear with me on this.
Thanks. Thank you.
See, and before I jumped into this talk, as I said, this is my journey of unlearning. I try to approach it in a very scientific or engineering-like way. And I said that let me try to break down the problem, go about it step by step, and figure out how you can do unlearning. And then I figured out a great idea, actually, something which was so evident, and I was amazed I couldn't figure that out. So why learning is important? That's the very first thing. Why do you even want to learn? In my various roles, professional roles, I come across people who really want to progress, who want success. And I've come across students, I've taught hundreds of students, if not thousands, maybe thousands, and then a lot of people work with me. And then I figured out that the common denominator, common thing that makes someone successful is really hinged on two things. One is their grit, and other is their ability to learn. Grit gives you perseverance, and learning gives you new knowledge. And the people I've found successful around me, I figured out that the one who are really successful always had two common things. They had they were gritty, they had a severe perseverance. I mean, they kept on plugging at the problem, and they had this amazing ability to learn. As one of the famous MIT professor once said, that your success in life depends on three things: your ability to communicate, your ability to execute, and the quality of your ideas in that order, which puts ability to communicate at the top. But what's important? Your ability to communicate, it's an engineering university, so you can probably learn some of this cryptic language. Your ability to communicate is actually a function of your knowledge, how much knowledge you have. If you have knowledge about something, you can communicate. And your knowledge is a function of your learning. Can you learn something? Because if you learn something, you'll have knowledge about it. If you have knowledge about it, you can communicate it. And that translates to success. So the single most idea which is important in success is you have to be gritty, which should be given, and then you have to have the ability to learn. So that is why learning is so important. We'll come to unlearning. But then why unlearning is important? If learning is so important, why unlearning is so important? As I said, I approach it in a very engineering-like fashion, thinking about trying to decompose the problem. So and then I thought about it. So can anyone tell me What is common in these companies, which are written at the bottom? It's Kodak, BlackBerry, Blockbuster, Yahoo, Nokia. Anyone?
Innovation.
Innovation what? They stopped innovating or they did a lot of innovation?
Maybe they are very stocks and popular due to innovation.
They became popular to do some innovation and they stopped innovating. I mean, Kodak invented the photo film. They also invented digital cameras, but they never brought it to the market. And they became history. The BlackBerry, the keypad, was the one innovating thing, and they failed to move on to the touch.
Theory.
Blockbuster, they were selling movies, CDs. Netflix came in and took everything to internet. They failed to innovate. Yahoo failed to search. Nokia, they didn't get onto the bandwagon of smartphones. So these companies who were once powerhouses, they failed to move ahead as leaders in their category. And if I try to rephrase this, what it is really is, they failed to unlearn their past innovation and learn new innovation.
She's
If I want to phrase it in the form of learning. So that makes unlearning something which is very, very important. Then decomposing into something next.
so
But what is unlearning then? Okay, we figured out we have to do some unlearning, but what is unlearning? Let's look at the word.
alien to
Unlearning implies that we have to subtract something that we have learned.
like
कुछ पढ़ लिया था, अब उसको निकालना पड़ेगा. This is what unlearning is. The word says this. But what can we subtract?
love it.
There are essentially two things. Either we have a finite memory और हमने कुछ चीज़ों को निकालना है. We need to take a few things off so we can add more things. Or we have to delete the context or something. To help you understand this, take a look at this whiteboard. You cannot bring in more ideas into that because it's all filled. And you have to remove some ideas to bring new ideas into that.
And about in our day, that's all I do.
For the second example,
I'll come in. I'm not again. This
what do you see over here?
to get you to
A young girl.
lady put
See again.
an old boy.
So it's the same picture, but different context. That's how our brains function. Want to say again? This is a young girl looking at some other way. And now look at again. The first picture there and look at again. You'll see an old woman. That's how our beautiful minds work. They interpret information in the presence of a context. And these contexts, what happens? These contexts, okay. So our minds interpret information in a context. And somehow when we keep on getting these contexts and this information, it start becoming our beliefs. As we practice more, it becomes our belief, and somewhere down the line, this belief becomes our limiting factor. कंपनी 10% से ज़्यादा ग्रो नहीं कर सकती. क्यों नहीं कर सकती? बिकॉज सारी कंपनीज ऐसे ही करती हैं. ये चीज़ यहाँ से यहाँ नहीं जा सकती बिकॉज यहाँ से यहीं तक सही जाती है. So I mean, we start thinking like that because nobody has done that, and what we have seen is the only way of doing it. It starts becoming our beliefs because we have learned that belief. That is what the power of context is. So जब ये होता है तो then if you want to unlearn, what do you really want to do? हमने context learn कर लिया and our minds are full of information. तो is there a checklist जो मैं कुछ करूँ तो फिर मुझे पता चल जाए कि I really want to unlearn this? I mean, I've come into a point, okay, this talk is all about unlearning. अब मुझे unlearn करना है. पर पता कैसे क्या चलेगा कि अब unlearn करना शुरू कर देते हैं. कोई checklist है, कोई trigger point है, कोई process है, is there a method? And that's where I kept on thinking, I'm going to fast on a TEDx talk. I need to tell them something, how to unlearn. The topic of the talk is the art of unlearning. And here I am stumped. When to unlearn? How to unlearn? I have no clue. If you want to come here to find out an answer that how to unlearn, I have no clue if there does exist a method or not. But then while I was discussing that, here's this idea came up. And somebody was telling me, Umair, you have to unlearn this belief to make it happen. I said, unlearn this belief and do what? Believe in this. So yes. You're not saying unlearn, you're saying learn a new belief. So that's how unlearning happens. I mean, you do not ever unlearn anything. You just learn more things. That's the only way to unlearn. You never ever unlearn. You just learn more. So you just learn more. So you should broaden up your canvas so that it can have more information. It can have more context to it. Do you think that Einstein forgot 2 plus 2 equals to 4 while building E equals to mc square? Have you forgotten your first semester course or unlearned that course to get to fourth semester? This is not how the education works. This is how not the knowledge works. This is not even how the sports work. This is an evolution of a Formula One car. While getting to that, which is the newest car, we have not forgotten the aerodynamics of the first car. We have not unlearned them. We have learned and kept learning more information. बहुत सारे students बैठे हुए हैं इस university. Here's a question. How you forgot your first love? By? By? By having a second love. So the point is, the point that I'm trying to take you to, and that is the point that always, and that it seems so natural. You never unlearn any information. The real art of unlearning is you keep learning more and more and more and more, and then the older information, you can put it in more context. You can put it in a space, if it's a very big information or if it's a very small information. So you keep learning more and more and more. But then, if learning is so important, then why people don't learn? That was my next question. I think there are 2 or 3 things around it. At some point in time in our lives, we become survival-centric. What is a survival centricity? Which is we start giving excuse कि मैं दिन रात ये काम करता हूँ ना इसलिए मैं पढ़ नहीं सक रहा. I have to earn bread for my family and that is why I cannot learn. I am going to university for some education, that is I cannot do this and that. So we become survival centric. We start giving that excuse. Or at some point we become status centric. I am the CEO of the company. How can I say that I don't know this? I am the manager. Can I tell in front of my team members that I don't know this? So sometimes these 2 centricity come in and we stop learning. So I want to leave you with some habits of the master learners. People who are really successful learn, and these are some of the habits they always exhibit. And they use learning, extensive learning, as a tool for unlearning, because that's the only tool exists, in my opinion. I can be wrong, but that's the only tool exists. They believe learning will improve them. That is why they learn. If you believe in something that is going to improve you, you will do that. So one of the habits of the master learners is that they believe learning is going to improve them. That is why they learn. They are humble and like sponges. They say we don't know and they can learn from anyone. I can tell you a lot of things. I mean, I tend to learn even from the very junior person in my team to some very senior people and some random people. I once told my sales team, the best sellers are, if you want to learn how to sell, go and see how beggars sell you at a signal. I mean, they quickly identify out of 100 cars, which are the cars who can really give them more money. They go to the biggest store and then they look at the person and modify their message. अगर वो बंदा बैठा हुआ तो उसके क्या अल्लाह तेन बुढ़ी दे बुढ़ी तो बंदा दोनों बैठे हैं अल्लाह तुहानू काका दे सारे बैठे हैं अल्लाह तुहानू हज कराए I mean they are so if you become a sponge and you see everywhere then you will see an everywhere learning opportunity. So they are humble and they do not have any ego. They are vulnerable, they make mistakes. So what they learn, they share. And by sharing, क्लास में क्या होता है टीचर ने क्वेश्चन पूछा हमें कई दफ़ा जवाब आता भी होता है बट वी आर अफ्रेड ऑफ रेजिंग आवर हैंड एंड सेइंग इट बिकॉज वी फेल्ट क्या हो गया कि गलत कह दूंगा तो लोग हंस पड़ेंगे बट they are vulnerable, they make mistakes, they prioritize progress over social status. If you want to be a master learner, that's what they do. They wander. They learn 10 different things. Brilliant mathematicians many times are good musicians as well because they can connect. I tend to, every year, every other year, tend to learn something new because that makes the entire learning process exciting, enjoyable, that wandering. They learn and execute. They feel that it's important to not only learn but also execute them, and they try to balance both and they teach. The best way of learning is to teach. So I want to leave you with the thought that in the pursuit of progress, what if we all try to be a lifelong learners? We let our egos aside, we let our survival centricity, status consciousness aside, and be a learner. What if we try to create environments around us that promote learning? And what if instead of learn to unlearn, you just do this? Learn to unlearn.
Right.
So you keep on learning, and that's the only way to unlearn. We'll surely have a better world. Thank you.
Well done.